In April 2008, a man was found dead on a kitchen floor in a Meridian home. His hands and feet were bound, and he had been beaten and left there. What began as a plan to force him out of the house ended with his death. Within days, 3 people were in custody, facing charges tied to the killing.
All right, so I'm already sensing a lot of stupidity because when it takes days to arrest, we know that law enforcement likes to play their hand here because you can enact, once you press charges, now the timer could be ticking. So like a speedy trial type situation. Mm-hmm. So if it's coming that quick, you were probably a dipshit. That's just my prediction. I'm sure Dani will.
There's not very many smart choices made in this at all.
So we know. We can already be discerning and understand that.
And definitely some messing around.
You can just smell it. Like just with your intro, you can smell when the drugs are apparent. So I'm sure this is not news to y'all, and y'all probably already sniffed that out as well. So anyways, we'll take it away. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Lethal Library. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Dani.
And we're back to tell you yet again another true crime tale straight out of Idaho. So, Dani, quite the intro. Sounds like there's going to be some dramatics and not the smartest criminals, which is the norm. I mean, really, it is the norm.
The drugs be making you dumb.
And
kids, don't do drugs.
The people committing the crimes just don't have the mental capacity.
And there's a line in here that is going to sum this up, and you're just going to be
I'm stoked.
All right. So, a quote, actually.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that. So, Dani, please let us know what the hell is going on in this kitchen or this situation.
Resources used today are articles from the Idaho Statesman, That Bitch,
Love You,
South Idaho Press, and all the way up to Coeur d'Alene Press, too.
The Coeur d'Alene?
The Coeur d'Alene, yes. For anybody that's not familiar, I just have to say Coeur d'Alene, you could never spell it.
Look up the spelling of it.
You could never spell it. Let me just give you this. I'll just give it. It's COEUR space D' ALENE.
It's French. Mm-hmm. It's French.
But I know that.
But when you see it pop up, I'm like, Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah,
Coeur d'Alene.
My favorite is Ponderay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because it is, they just made it American spelling, but there's also the
real spelling,
the French spelling.
Yeah. We have a lot of that. Boise, Le Bois.
Le Bois.
Doesn't it mean like the trees or something?
I don't know. Le Bois is a racetrack to me. So whatever.
Mm-hmm. Les Bois is how that looks.
Les Bois is exactly.
Let's go to Les Bois.
Let's dig into this.
We are already.
We've had technical difficulties today.
We've had technical difficulties and some cocktails because.
Cheers.
Jesus. Maybe I shouldn't bring the Lord's name into it, but gosh darn F word, C word.
Technology.
Fucks with us, and we thought we wouldn't even be able to record tonight. So thanks to some Googling, and I did Googling, I did AI, and bless Dani. She said,
This might sound
I just, maybe it's silly. Did you want to try clearing the cache and cookies? And I was like, you know what? That's a genius idea. And I did it, and look where we are. We're recording now. My IT guy at work I'm going to tell him this story, and it's going to fill him with so much just like validation of like,
because you were like, what do I have to do? No,
and he'll be like, Stephanie, I thought we were on the same page with this. Like, we've had this discussion so many times, and I do it at work. I do it. I make sure my boxes are checked before I ever get.
You're gonna have to put that in because oh no, it wasn't recording because it wasn't working. But I was like, I know this might sound stupid.
Yeah, and she was so kind about it. She's like, I mean, maybe we could like,
because look,
maybe just try it.
I live my life inside of old newspapers. And one note, I am not participating in any step, does all the editing. I would lose my shit. So thank you.
I think you're full.
No. So.
But if we can't use our editing software to record, we'd have to basically go back to the Stone Ages of putting it on a SD card.
Hey, go listen to episodes 1 through like 12.
If you wonder why the audio quality was so bad, that's part of it. And the uploading hours, even with a very fast internet, like it was a nightmare. So thank you, Dani, for
Cache.
She's basically like the IT specialist around here.
Is it cache or cache? It's cache.
I think it's cache.
Huh,
cache and cookies.
You know what?
I think it's one of those ones where, because we had this listeners that have been around for a long time. We had this discussion. And I listened to it back, and I feel like I looked it up because I felt like I was talking out of my ass when I was like, because you said they have like a cache of weapons or something. And I was like, I think it's cache. And you were like, oh, okay, it's cache. But then I feel like I looked it up, and it's one of those ones that's the same either way.
So
you can use both. Both are acceptable and not breaking the rules. And Stephanie needs to keep her mouth shut and fact check herself is the moral of today's story. Anyway, we'll get right back to it, folks.
Let me tell you about some fucking stupid, horrible people.
These are our favorite ones to talk about.
In early April 2008, Doug Halpin was living in a home on Snyder Street in Meridian that was associated with Karen LaFollette. And I'm probably going to say that wrong several times, but we're going to go with LaFollette.
Give us some grace.
Who also was known, a.k.a. Karen Miller, but I went ahead and made it difficult for myself, and she's going to be known as LaFollette this whole episode.
I
think that was her real name. That was her real name. I mean, all the court documents, but she did go by Karen Miller. The two had a contentious relationship that had led to police involvement the previous year. In July 2007, Karen told police Doug was her ex-boyfriend after she accused him of hitting her, breaking into her home, and stealing her cell phone. Doug was arrested and charged with misdemeanor counts of battery, unlawful entry, and petty theft.
Doug, I'm not liking this so far.
But those charges are dropped.
Mm.
And despite all that history, Doug remained in the home. In spring 2008, LaFollette wanted to have Doug removed from the house.
Mm.
But instead of pursuing a legal eviction, she contacted Stanley Hahn and John Joseph Green, both of Bakersfield, California.
She said, I'm getting John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt over here.
Pretty much.
I'm calling the homeboys.
Hahn was known to LaFollette through her brother, and an arrangement was made for the men to come to Idaho and remove Doug from their residence.
From out of state.
Yeah, big time.
They're ride or die. You're not getting me to go out of state for a lot, but if you lived in a different state and said, I need this motherfucker out of my house, I'm catching the next flight. I hate driving. I'm driving my car all the way. So these are ride or die. They've got a bond here.
Hahn and Green left California and drove to Idaho.
California. Wow. And that's
a
lot of miles, folks.
But maybe
few days.
The meth probably helped.
You know what? It does make you extremely efficient if you don't need sleep, so many more hours in the day for activities.
Arriving in the Boise area in the early morning hours of April 5th, 2008, they met LaFollette in the parking lot of a Boise area restaurant where she gave them instructions on how to proceed.
Oh.
LaFollette told them that there was already packing tape in the house. Before going to the residence, Hahn and Green stopped at a Maverick and purchased additional supplies, including rope and more tape.
And probably some snacks. I'm sure that maybe it didn't make the court case, but if you're at a Mav,
let's do it.
I'm getting a Reese's. I'm getting a pack of gum. If you're on the meth,
it's a bonfire cafe or whatever.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
They're killing the game with that. They really are. They're killing the game with it.
Well, except for when I drive to the cabin and then there's nothing there by the time I get there. They really cater to the breakfast and lunch crowd. What about the people that are
not all early risers?
The 4 o'clock crowd.
We have to do things at all hours of the day.
You're going to leave me
Maverick.
with that rusty fucking burrito that you cooked for lunch?
Maverick, love you, but we just have to be real with you and be straight up. There's room for improvement, and we believe in you. Thank you for attending your quarterly review.
And you can sponsor us.
We can help.
So I want you to pay attention to the part, and I left this in, even though it was kind of a weird part, but it was like she told them that there was already packing tape in the house.
I noticed that was a little bit of a weird detail.
It's important. It's important.
Dani's intentional.
So after the snack trip and the fucking kidnapping kit, they picked up.
Gotta pick up a quick kidnap kit, and now you can get it on DoorDash.
Easy breezy, lemon squeezy.
Rope, lie. Is it lie?
Yeah.
Rope, lie, shovel. You can order it all to your door.
These guys are keeping it very basic, though. I mean, the rope and tape that they got at Maverick.
What kind of rope is that gonna? It's gonna be your most like nylon synthetic, that weird shit.
And you can't even. Well, I shouldn't say shit, but I mean, I would think that would be difficult to tie something tight with that because it doesn't tighten. It's not like a cotton rope. You know what I'm saying? But anyways,
there's room for improvement all around here. It sounds like so.
So later that day, Hahn and Green went to the Snyder Street home. Using the key LaFollette had given them, Hahn entered first, and he struck Doug. He cold-cocked him.
Oh.
Knocking him to the kitchen floor.
Can you imagine having your door locked and someone just
fucking walk in and just fucking cold-cock you in your kitchen?
And here's the thing. I feel like women think of these scenarios a lot more because reasons, gesturing wildly around everything for those that are just listening on
audio. The 90s and 2000s, I'd walk to my car with fucking
all the keys sticking like fucking Wolverine. Now, yeah, like I will Wolverine a bitch, and that was and it wasn't because it wasn't needed. I think any woman will attest, like they've all had a weird experience, but since men don't even have this experience, I don't know if they ever even ran through that scenario in their head. Because I know that women have.
Oh, absolutely.
There was a time where we weren't expecting our youngest son to be home.
Yeah.
And I didn't have my glasses or contacts in. And I was up at like 2 a.m. because I needed like a fucking Tums, let's be real. And I didn't have my little bedside thing filled. And so I went out into the kitchen and the door opened and I hit the fucking floor silently. Like it was just like an instinct. And I was immediately like, I'm only this many feet away from the drawer that has the knives. Like, it was instant because I've been through that in my head. But for men, most men, when you ask them, like, what do you do to protect yourself if you're drunk and inebriated on the way home from the bar? And they're like, get an Uber? Like, that it hasn't crossed their mind. So sorry that was a sidetrack, but
it's a true thing.
I can understand a man being like, not even having never considered it, what that would feel like in your brain. You'd be like, this isn't real.
The assault escalated immediately. Doug was beaten repeatedly as he struggled, and then the men bound his hands and feet with duct tape and coaxial. Where did they get the coaxial?
Like coax cable?
Yeah.
Was one of them like a satellite or cable technician?
I
They're like, I got a spool of this shit. This'll work. They were beating him with coax cable?
They bound his hands and feet with duct tape and coax.
Sorry, that was just where my mind.
No.
God damn.
So, yeah, so they must have picked up that duct tape because LaFollette specifically said packing tape. I don't know. Look, I know my tapes.
It's important.
Duct tape is a different beast.
Packing tape is a different. Masking tape is like. I hate when you ask someone like, I need some tape for this, and they're like, how about some painter's tape? Are you fucking high?
But the blue tape has a purpose.
It does.
I have more blue tape in my house than I have packing tape or duct tape.
We have more duct tape, I think, and I think that's just who we are as people.
That says a lot.
Yeah. We be fixing things.
I feel like having more blue tape in my house means that, look, I'm going to fucking analyze myself. I feel like that means that I don't want permanent things. I'm scared of residue.
Scared of commitment.
Yes.
We're getting deep here, guys.
Yeah. Duct tape, you're all in.
All in, and listen, with how my life is going,
all in.
Maybe I shouldn't be such a gambler. So I think we can learn from each other on this.
I love it.
This could be like, what is it? A BuzzFeed quiz. What type of tape are you? Are you Scotch? Are you painted?
Look, if you guys get this on a TikTok or on the YouTube, let us know what kind of tape.
What does your tape choice say about you?
Oh my God.
None of us can afford a psychiatrist, so this is what
let's do it.
What results? Yeah.
Let's get back to poor Doug.
Dougie Doug.
So they've tied him up with the duct tape, the
coax.
Which a coax is not even a good binder.
No,
anyway.
It isn't. And I'm like, again.
They taped his mouth shut and then continued the attack. The violence continued as the men took turns striking Doug, leaving him bound and injured on the floor. Just right there.
Just imagining it is awful.
After restraining Doug, the men searched the home for money and they believed LaFollette had promised them
crack-headed activities,
but they did not find any cash.
And crack-headed activities for her to say that. That's I'm telling you,
drugs.
You can smell it all over this case.
Instead, Green took a set of keys and attempted to start a truck in the driveway, but it wouldn't start. With Doug still bound and badly injured, the men decided just to leave the house. They left him on the kitchen floor, tied up and bleeding, and then drove away to find LaFollette, who was staying at a motel in Nampa. When Hahn and Green arrived at the motel, they told LaFollette what had happened inside the house. LaFollette then gave them the keys to Doug's pickup truck, which Doug had left at a bar the night before. The men returned, collected the truck, and prepared to leave Idaho. They took showers, gathered their belongings, and departed, driving both vehicles out of the state.
Quick trip. And that's what I'm saying, like, listen.
This is where they were not thinking. They left a man beaten, bleeding.
That could potentially tell authorities of their crimes.
But I really think, and just going through, I really think that they just thought that they beat him up and tied him up.
Well, we know that's not the case because it's on our docket.
During their return trip to California, they ended up abandoning the truck in Hawthorne, Nevada, after it became stuck on the side of the road.
Is broke.
You're a fucking idiot. No, if you get stuck on the side of the road, it means that you pulled over where you shouldn't pull over. Didn't say the truck was broken. Didn't say it broke down, ran down.
Oh, shit.
It couldn't turn over. No, they literally got fucking stuck. You fucking idiots. On April 6th, I'm sorry, it just pisses me off.
Thank you for clarifying.
The stupidity. On April 6, 2008, Doug was found inside the Snyder Street home in Meridian. He was on the kitchen floor with his hands and feet bound and visible injuries to his head because they beat the fuck.
And this is an absolutely terrible way to die.
Thank you.
Like, I think anyone can think of that, because who knows how long at this point, you have no idea how long it's taken. And I mean, even a day, if it was one day.
If 1 fucking hour of suffering, in pain, not being able to breathe correctly, not being able to move.
And how you've probably tried.
Yeah.
You know, the drive to survive in our brains is really primal. And so you know that even being injured, your natural instinct is to try to figure out ways to get out and you're trying to scoot across the floor. Like, I'm just thinking of all of
Doug.
this.
These fucking assholes. Authorities initially believed the residence was his, but Lynn later found out that the home belonged to LaFollette, who had been living elsewhere at the time, a hotel, and had returned to the house to feed a cat. And this is where, look, it's going to get sketchy because so it was reported that she had returned to the house to feed a cat, but also there's a friend in here somewhere. So you're going to hear
there's some uncertainty.
Yeah. She reported the discovery of Doug's body that evening. Doug was born January 28, 1963, and spent his early years in Idaho Falls, where he graduated from Idaho Falls High School in 1981. He attended Boise State University until 1983, and in 1986, he married Jacqueline Height in Idaho Falls. He worked at Halpin's Dairy Supply in Idaho Falls, and that's Doug's last name. So I don't know if it was his parents or a family member, but he worked at Halpin's Dairy Supply in Idaho Falls before moving to Meridian in 1988 to help establish the company's expansion there. In the years that followed, he also worked at, how funny, I didn't even realize this. He worked at Le Bois Racetrack.
Le Bois. Les Bois.
He worked at Le Bois Racetrack and at the Western Idaho Fairgrounds.
All right there, yeah.
He remained closely connected to his family and spent much of his time with his sons, Christopher and Timothy. He liked to play board games and video games with them and took them to the movies. He was described as someone who would go out of his way to help family, friends, and neighbors, and was known as a friend to those around him. So he was just a good guy.
Genuinely a good guy, it sounds like. And it sounds like, you know, people are a nuanced topic. And I know they had some like DV things. And what I'll say is, generally, those that are abusers don't abuse everyone around them. So he could have been
There could have been issues.
He could have been a shitty partner.
There also probably was drugs.
Drugs, and also you can't murder someone violently about it. Listen,
you don't call your brother's friends to come fucking haul him out of the house. Like,
if you wanted to enact your own, and this is my personal opinion, if you wanted to enact your own vengeance, or what is that called? When you're like acting as the authority, there's a word for it. I don't know why it's slipping my mind. It's not vengeance. It's like when you take the law in your own hands.
vigilante.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
I know a big word.
See, and Dani knows a lot of big words. I think she deserves more credit here. Sometimes they're just hard to pronounce, especially when we've been drinking. So, but yeah, if you want to be a vigilante, morally, my opinion is very nuanced here. So, but don't be a dipshit about it. You can't be all hopped up on meth and you should have proof, and like you can't just go murdering.
Quit murdering about shit, you guys.
I'm not the type that's like murder is never wrong and vigilantism is never wrong or never right or whatever. Like, but if you're gonna do it, let's put some thought behind your craft.
An autopsy determined that Doug died from blunt force trauma to the head.
Fuck.
The examination also found that his death involved asphyxiation caused by binding and obstruction of his airways. Bad way to go.
Yuck. Yeah.
The condition of the body indicated he had likely been dead since the previous day. Investigators identified the death as a homicide and began gathering evidence.
They're on it. And we know that it was a very short time, so it sounds like there's probably going to be a lot of evidence, is my guess.
Investigators developed information linking the killing to LaFollette, Hahn, and said another man in the newspapers, but it was Green.
I know some man.
On April 10th, Hahn was located in Bakersfield, California, and taken into custody. He was charged in connection with the case, and authorities arranged for his return to Idaho. Around the same time, LaFollette was arrested at a Nampa hotel and charged in the 4th District Court with second-degree kidnapping. This is important. She was held in Ada County Jail on a $750,000 bond.
Oh.
Because, just like you said, the speedy trial part, we're just going to start with kidnapping. Right?
And let me just say, just for some context, especially in 2008, when they say Nampa Hotel, we barely have fair accommodations.
I'm saying in 08, it was a Shiloh or a Super 8.
A Shiloh or it was, who knows if the newspaper classified it correctly, it could have been a motel. Because we have
in
the Starlight. Do you remember the Starlight?
Oh, I have a story about that, but
Oh, me too. We'll have to trade Starlight stories. Guys, if you have a Starlight story, write in. We won't say your name. Because there's nothing good that happened at the Starlight Hotel ever. But if you want to, or motel, but if you want to share, we will. This is I'm signing an NDA with you with my pinky right now. I'm pinky promising you. We will not share your name. But if you want to just dish on the tea, we're happy to receive.
I feel like it was the Shiloh next to the Denny's.
That one, of course. Because this place has everything. You've got the Denny's, breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, and it was a 24-hour.
Yeah,
right?
the Shell across the street.
And it was not only just a Denny's. It was a Denny's with a lounge, with karaoke, and the bar. You want to eat any meal. You want to have fun, have some drinks in a bar.
You want breakfast at 4 p.m.? You can totally.
This is so America. And then you just walk to your fucking hotel. You don't have to drive. And it's the shittiest Shiloh Inn you've ever seen in your life. But you don't care.
It should not even be called Shiloh. It really shouldn't.
It should have been called the Infestation. But it was a bed and a toilet and a shower. Mm-hmm. All questionable. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I feel like it's a rite of passage. I feel like those from Nampa. If you know, you know. And I hate that saying, but I feel like this is so relevant here. So to be in a hotel in Nampa, I'm like, in 08, where in the fuck were you, you bougie bitch?
Well, there was the bigger Shiloh across the freeway.
I mean, even that, I'm like, anyway, it was shady is what I'm trying to.
It wasn't the Ritz. Okay.
Literally the polar opposite of the Ritz, yeah.
Investigators determined that Hahn and another man had taken Doug's truck after the assault and left the state.
Stupid.
The vehicle, a 1996 Ford F-250, was located by the Nevada Highway Patrol in Hawthorne, Nevada, where they got it stuck. How do you get an F-250 stuck? Are you idiots?
In Nevada, it's not raining. Like, what is the stuckness? It's not like we've got a bunch of mud. How did you do that? Math.
Police continued searching for the second man, whose identity was not immediately known to the police. But we know
They're like,
it's
there's
Green.
another dude.
By April 28th, Green had been identified and taken into custody.
Mm-hmm.
He was charged with second-degree kidnapping in connection with the case and booked into the Ada County Jail. Hahn was also formally booked on the charges related to the incident. Both men were extradited from Bakersfield to Idaho.
Yeah,
So
coming up.
we have 3 individuals
Mm-hmm.
that were in custody.
And I just want to ask, because you mentioned the speedy trial earlier and how they're only doing the kidnapping right now.
Yeah.
So I'm a little tipsy. But is this strategery so that they don't want to do like the murder right now? Because then that would set the clock on the murder.
I do think that. I also think that they're kind of manipulating these guys. Like, it's a craft. So they're like, all right, we're just going to bring you in on kidnapping charges.
There was a kidnap, guys. We have to at least admit that, right?
Was it an accident? Like, can you wink?
You
like,
accidentally did it. Like, everyone does this once in a while, guys. You go and beat the shit out of someone with some in time of a
they
coax.
know they can hold. Look, if there has been cases where they pop somebody on having some pot and they can keep them in jail, or they can pop them on something stupid when they know they have bigger shit coming because they're going to interview them. They're going to,
There's a plan. So this seems like some strategery.
absolutely.
And again,
Because obviously Doug was,
you're hoping for one to fold.
yeah, obviously Doug was dead. Obviously he was murdered because of his being tied up and hit in the head. And so, yeah, no, they're taking it easy. So these fucking meth heads are in there thinking, kidnapping?
Okay, I can maybe do that. And then they're like,
Yeah, but he
you don't
died.
know he's dead. And, whoever folds first is usually statistically the best off. And the last one is statistically the worst off because they don't have anything. So, the clock is, as a criminal, the clock is ticking.
These guys were not thinking that, but the police.
And everyone says, I'll never tell, I'll never tell. You're my brother, you're
we
my
go.
sister, you're my family, you're my best friend. When you think of getting life in prison or death, or
settling.
even, I'm sorry, 3 years. That is a very low, like if you got like second degree or something, 3 years. Imagine having 3 years off of your life. Would your career survive? Would your wife be with you?
Would
or
you still have
husband?
your house?
Like,
How are you going to find a job without
how
felony?
impactful, and then you're a felon, and that's a whole nother. So when you're told that you might have a get out of jail almost free card, if
You're like,
you're
yeah, we did
if you're the first to fold, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we did kidnap him. We did tie him up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let
anyway.
me give you all my texts and emails.
Yeah, and then we're are we
So
done?
we're good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna build your case for you. So the first one to flip, I don't care how strong your alliances are when you put people's lives on the line.
I'm just gonna say this. I don't feel like there was any alliance. Just
It was a
all
meth bond.
crack-headedly.
Meth bond easily broken.
So all 3 of these people were in custody, but no one had been charged with murder yet. As the investigation progressed, prosecutors expanded the scope of the case. In early May, Ada County prosecutors filed first-degree murder charges against Hahn and Green. Both men were accused of working together in the killing of Doug during the course of kidnapping. So now you have murder with aggravating circumstances.
Which is bad.
Authorities stated that the men beat and tied him up and caused his death through a combination of blunt force trauma and asphyxiation. Dude.
It's terrible. And also, I cannot believe the lack of forethought. And this might sound cold from me, but I'm just trying to get behind the thought process. If you've beat the fuck out of someone so severely and you're like, anyway, we're going to leave you here. What do you think the outcome is going to be? If you think there's a possibility of life, one, could that person then plot and plan against you and come after you? Because we're all playing a very dirty game of drugs and weirdness right now, right? Everyone knows some fucked up people probably in this world, realistically. Or two, they're going to go the noble way and contact law enforcement.
And you're still going to go to jail.
So to leave, I'm not trying to encourage killing people, but I just don't understand the thought process where they're like, he's still alive anyway. We need to score our next bag. Like, the risk reduction, harm reduction, survival instinct for these fucking criminals. I'm like, where is it?
It's not there. And it's going to come up.
They're like, anyway, let's go get high.
Pretty much. The charges that the authorities brought allege that the killing was carried out with premeditation and malice aforethought. Oh my God. Aforethought.
Good word.
Is that it? Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, they're like, oh no, you planned this. You did.
And the malice part, I think that's the perfect
it's a big deal.
Word, because even if you weren't trying, if you are trying to argue that you weren't trying to kill someone, you can't leave someone blunt force trauma fucked up, tied up with coax. And
do you know what I feel like? And I don't know the exact thing. I feel like the duct tape over the mouth might have been a little bit more than over the mouth.
Like they taped the fuck. No, I got that.
And so you can't breathe. I mean, you need all of your nose to breathe. So you can,
even just one nostril is not fun.
Especially if you're bleeding and have
you
blood running.
Coagulating. His nose might have been broken. Who knows? Like,
what a shitty fucking...
And not being able to cry out for help of like a neighbor that's gonna be like going out and getting their mail and be like, what's that?
It makes me so mad.
No, this is, I would say...
We've done a lot of nasty shit.
What's the thing that appears in the SVU, like the incredibly heinous or something? Yeah. This is heinous.
And especially heinous.
Especially heinous.
Like, it's been a hot minute.
And stupid. Like, I know this sounds cold the way that I'm thinking of it, but like, I'm trying to think of it from the criminal mind. So you're not doing yourself any favors by not covering up your crime and making it so no one can potentially testify about you. So one, you're done there. And then two, just you already beat the shit out of him in thinking of how he's going to survive. You should know that he probably couldn't. And so if that wasn't your intention, what are we doing here?
Thought processes, I'd imagine. LaFollette remained charged in connection with the kidnapping, but was not charged initially with murder. Prosecutors stated that she had provided Hahn and Green with access to the home and had instructed them to restrain Doug.
She was the puppet master, if you will.
Absolutely. She gave him the fucking key.
Hello?
According to the charges, she gave the men keys to the residence sometime between April 1st and April 6th so they could cause Doug to be secretly confined, imprisoned, and kept against his will. When they put it into legal terms,
it's clear.
Yeah.
It's clear what's happening here.
Authorities also stated that she directed them to obtain tape and rope to bind him, and later gave statements to the police that were not consistent with the evidence gathered during the investigation.
Shocker.
During this period, investigators did not publicly state a clear motive for the killing. Law enforcement officials acknowledged that while there was evidence of a plan to remove Doug from the home, the reason the situation escalated into a fatal assault was not immediately explained because there's no explanation.
They can't say on KTVB 6 o'clock news, folks, they were messing around. But that's the reality of it.
On June 21st, 2008, an Ada County grand jury returned indictments in connection with the death of Doug. Hahn and Green were each indicted for, why am I struggling with that word? I'm so sorry. Indicted for first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping. LaFollette was indicted for aiding and abetting first-degree murder and kidnapping. She also faced additional charges of intimidating a witness and destruction or concealment of evidence.
You're going to fuck yourself with this stuff. This is all
That gets you.
Rookie mistakes.
All three were scheduled to enter pleas in the case later that month. On July 15th, 2008, Hahn and Green appeared in court and entered pleas of not guilty to the charges of first-degree murder and kidnapping. LaFollette also entered a plea of not guilty to the charges against her.
Oh, we're all trying to hardball it. Is that the word?
Yeah. As the case moved forward, LaFollette entered into negotiations with the prosecutors.
There's always going to be one.
And she's going to be first up.
She has the best chance. Yeah, because she didn't physically do it. So, no, it's totally predictable.
In October of 2008, she pled guilty to aiding and abetting a kidnapping in connection with Doug's death. In court, she admitted that she had given Hahn and Green a key to her home and told them where to find the packing tape so they could restrain Doug. She stated that the agreements that she had with the men was to remove Doug from the house and that she had not instructed them to kill him.
And this is this is actually a believable story. I feel like we've done so many stories and we've also heard so many defense stories on Dateline, 48 Hours, 2020, where the defense cooks up something that is so implausible that you're like, yeah, sure, maybe that could have happened in a fucking perfect world or a vacuum. But this is an actually plausible story of, hey, I told him to just get him out of the that's what I wanted. And there's evidence even to back it up. So this was actually a smart, strategy is what I'm trying to say.
And I don't believe she intended him to be murdered. But you cannot plan. It's like if you're going to go plan a robbery with somebody and then that's a felony, and then they murder somebody. Well, I didn't plan for them to murder.
You have to know.
You cannot
that could happen. If you and I were planning a bank robbery and seriously wanting to do it, we don't. FBI, we don't. No, this is just imagination time. But if we were planning a bank robbery,
set it off.
Can we don't have to talk about it long, but just set it off. One of my favorite fucking movies.
I love that movie. I'm gonna actually fucking
watch it now. And also the soundtrack, impeccable. My sister had the CD soundtrack.
We all know your sister had a bump and fucking.
Oh, she did. She did. And so, and also, Sam, if you didn't know that, because she was 8 years older than me, and so she went to school earlier than me. So when I was getting ready, I would go in her room, and it was already in the 5 changeable CD player.
Fuck yeah.
And I was playing that soundtrack like as if I was an actual.
I hear it in my head right now.
All the songs.
Yeah.
All the songs were impeccable on that soundtrack.
I just remember that movie, and I'm going to fucking quit.
I have to watch it now.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch it.
I have to watch it now. Everyone go watch Set It Off just to have some nostalgia.
During her testimony, LaFollette said that on the morning of April 5th, Hahn contacted her and said that they needed to purchase rope and tape because, quote, they were going to tie up Doug, put him in the back of his Bronco, drive to Mexico, and feed him dog food all the way.
This is already diabolical. You can't listen, and I'm really trying to just put myself in their shoes. I don't think it's right, but I could understand someone tying them up, drop them off at their mom's house in a park. And
Mexico.
that should send a message, right? We're going to Mexico.
We're a very northernmost. We actually are on the border
That's
of Canada.
quite the drive. Do you know the amount of maintenance it takes to keep someone alive that is tied up? Like, you've essentially turned them into an infant. Like, do you even have the wherewithal to do? It's like you said, it reeks of meth.
Thought processes, though, for a normal person was be like, no, I just want you to go bully him and get him out of my house.
Yeah.
I had nothing about tying him up and making him eat dog food all the way to Mexico.
Yeah,
That's not what we're doing.
do we
here.
have the resources or time to even do that, or even the motivation?
No, that
like,
ain't.
do you have enough meth to get you to Mexico? Like,
No, they
the
lost the fucking
logistics-
truck in Nevada.
the logistics, they needed. There was no type A person here, I feel.
It's like, yeah, so this is what we're going to do for you. And did she say, oh, no? No, she was like, hey.
She's like, sure. Why not?
I mean, just so you know, I already have tape inside the home.
I do have a roll of that packing tape. Which isn't.
That's why that's
Anyway,
important.
the moral of this story is you need a type A person in every friend group, whether you're using drugs or not, because the type A person will be like, let's think about the logistics of this, even if they're on a quarter pound of meth at the time. Anyway, this commercial break brought to you by allergies. Anyone else going through it? Because fuck this shit.
She also stated that she was not present at the residence when the assault occurred and that she became aware of Doug's death only after asking a friend to go inside the house and report what they saw. So that's the part, and remember earlier in the story where I was like, this is what was reported, that she went, but no, she sent a fucking friend to go check on Doug.
Which is fucking rude.
Rude.
I would absolutely pummel someone if they sent me in there blind.
That was very
Fucking rude. No, so Dani and I do have an agreement. If we ever have a dead body in our house by our own hands, we're not going to be sending each other blindly in. I suggest you get that agreement with your own friends, because this is the type of shit that
no, she literally
and it's very
was like, could
crack-headed.
you go feed my cats? That's what it was.
Which, of course, yes, Dani, I will feed your cats, your dogs, whatever.
Because
You would never send me in blind, is what I'm saying.
No.
And I would never want to like dirty your own hand. Like, now you're
Why are you pulling
implicating someone.
Don't do that.
No, and it's just because in your crack-headed self, you're like, no one's found them yet. The anticipation is killing you.
Because they're fucking idiot.
Because they did not plan well, and they're like, fuck. No. They were hoping something would happen naturally.
Maybe she thought he was still, honestly, maybe she thought he was still alive.
I feel like if she thought he was still alive, at that point, hopefully you've had time to consider him alive is not good. Like, you're getting a felony regardless at this point. This podcast brought to you by
Garage Door.
Thank you, Dani. Don't we all love Garage Door? Garage Door. So effective.
Look at Harry Berry over there. So fucking worried.
Very proper.
Bro, you're okay. You're all right, buddy.
Okay. Garage Door sets off the dog, sets off the podcast. And if you want to be a showstopper, set off that garage door.
As part of her plea agreement, LaFollette agreed to truthfully testify in all future proceedings. including the trial of Hahn and Green. In exchange, prosecutors agreed to dismiss several additional charges and indicated they would recommend a sentence of 15 years in prison with a fixed term of 3 years. Not enough.
But what a joy as a criminal. 3 years, that's at least you can easily see the light at the end of the tunnel.
But her sentencing was delayed until after the resolution of the cases against the two.
I like that.
I fucking love that.
Yes, because we need to get all of our ducks in a row.
Mm-hmm. Further details about the events of April 5th were presented in court during the proceedings against Hahn and Green. Green described the assault in detail,
Testified.
stating that he and Hahn bound Doug's arms and legs with duct tape and a coaxial cable and taped his mouth shut. He admitted to striking Doug multiple times and said he kicked him in the face 4 or 5 times.
I just say, like someone who's incapacitated.
He told the court that Doug was, quote, asking for cops and hollering. And he said, I kicked him in the face and told him to shut up. It would be easy.
Hurl.
Oh my God. Green also described the sequence of events after the assault. He stated that after binding and beating Doug, the two men searched the home for money that they believed they had been promised. When they did not find any, they left Doug on the kitchen floor and drove to meet LaFollette at a motel. After speaking with her, they returned to collect Doug's pickup truck and left the state. In his statements, Green addressed the escalation of the violence and said, quote, we were supposed to get Doug out of the house. I don't know why we left without him.
Because you were on meth.
He then stated, quote, that's methamphetamine for you.
Thank you for at least admitting. I just have to call attention. I know he didn't like me picking him up, but he likes being here.
Yes.
Harry has entered the chat. So for those of you watching on video, if you wanted to see the little white dog that is our, I mean, basically coworker, is, you know, he's doing his thing. He's looking extremely handsome on camera. I just have to tell you, Harry.
But he's nervous as fuck. He's a weird little...
It's his first time. We remember our first time.
He's a weird little dog.
Once you get up here and the lights are on you and it's being recorded, you think, oh, we just do our thing.
He's a cat dog.
You know, he's doing his best. Oh, look, he's even making eye contact.
Okay, we got this.
What an absolute... Harry, I think you have the potential to be a star. He's like, I'm a little nervous right now, but it's okay.
It's my first
doing
time.
All right.
In April of 2009, Green appeared before the 4th District Judge, Pat Owen, and entered a guilty plea to first-degree murder. Green told the court that he and Hahn had traveled from Bakersfield to Idaho with the understanding that they were to remove Doug from the residence.
Yeah. And if you could have just done that, we could have probably avoided all this.
A little pushing around, get the fuck out.
And
the duct tape and the coaxial? Come on, guys.
Doing too much. They're doing way too much.
And he stated that upon entering the home, that Hahn struck Doug, knocking him to the kitchen floor, the cold cocking, and that the assault escalated from that point. He described how they bound Doug's arms and legs and with the duct tape and the coaxial. Green further stated that after the assault, they searched the home for the $400 they had been promised, but did not find any money.
And of course, the crackhead would be like, there's some money in there somewhere. You could have whatever money you got. Like, that's
$400? It would cost you more than that to travel. Anyway.
Like the gas money. I mean, this is, what year are we?
08.
The gas was outrageous. This was the bubble. This was the fucking housing bubble. Gas was like $4 or $5 a gallon in this time. And minimum wage was $7.25, as it has been.
It still is.
Thanks, America. Anyway.
Court testimony indicated that after leaving the state, Green and Hahn abandoned that truck in Hawthorne. They got us stuck.
Impossibly.
And then they continued on to California. During the proceedings, prosecutors stated that the killing occurred during the commission of a kidnapping and that Doug's death resulted from beating or striking about the head and or binding him and partially obstructing his airways, causing asphyxiation.
They fucked him all the way up. That's the scientific thing that I'm going to impart here.
And the state maintained that the actions of Hahn and Green inside the home constituted first-degree murder under Idaho law.
Yup.
It did. LaFollette remained in custody as part of her plea agreement and continued to await sentencing. Under the terms of that agreement, she was required to testify truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
Prosecutors confirmed that she admitted to providing Hahn and Green with the access to the home and directing them to the materials used to restrain Doug. That's what fucked her. She said, I am packing tape.
Dipshit.
Hahn also entered a guilty plea to a reduced charge of second-degree murder. His case proceeded to sentencing alongside LaFollette in 2009. At the sentencing hearing, Hahn addressed Doug's family and said, 1,000 apologies can't bring him back.
No.
I wake up every day and feel terrible. I wish I was the victim instead of him. It wasn't supposed to be like this, I swear. Drugs, kids.
Drugs.
Stay the fuck off of drugs. LaFollette also addressed the court during the sentencing and stated, I am terribly sorry for my involvement in this situation. I feel sorry for the family. I feel sorry for Doug. Because look, they were together. Like, she knows his whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Her attorney argued that she had not intended for Doug to be killed and that she had been attempting to remove him from the home because she was afraid of him. He stated that she had not been thinking clearly at the time. Drugs.
Obviously.
And that her actions were influenced by her mental state. And maybe she wasn't on drugs. I don't know, but...
No, you're swimming in this pool.
Oops.
Bye, Harry.
Judge Owen imposed a sentence of 15 years for LaFollette with a fixed term of 4 years before she'd be eligible for parole. 4 years.
And that's how it works, folks. This is why when you think you're besties with someone is going to crack. And the one who cracks first will get the best benefit. And that's
how it
even if it's, listen, I think there's justifiable vigilantism that I'm like, people that kill their rapist, their trafficker. I'm like,
what about that dude that killed?
There's been several cases of like,
there's a dude that killed his prison cell inmate because he kept talking about doing bad things to kids.
And so I think
and he's like, I'd do it again.
We can all get behind it.
Yeah.
There's a really famous case of like two brothers and a friend that killed whoever like hurt the sister, and they're smiling in their mugshots in that court, and they were totally at peace with it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, in that situation, I think it's honorable. I don't think it's the same as this is.
No.
I don't think it's the same as this case at all. But even if you have a valiant cause, right? If you're going to do some shit like this, you better be ready to do life to death. Because the likelihood of if you're doing it with a group, if you're not doing it as a solo, I don't care how deep you think your bond is. People have time to weigh it out, and you can't really blame people for thinking of themselves. I mean, you can a little bit, but you cannot expect people to sign away their life for you or your cause. So just know that if you're going into a crime, like,
or if you're doing meth.
Because And if you're doing meth, you're not thinking of this at all, and I get that.
She was not in her right state of mind. Hahn was sentenced to 30 years in prison with a minimum of 13 years to be served before parole eligibility. Jesus, those so many syllables. The following day, Green appeared for sentencing. When given the opportunity to speak, he stated, "I'd like to apologize to the victim's family. I'm sorry that it happened." The court sentenced him to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 13 years.
I know ChatGPT wasn't available, and that's fine. I don't like ChatGPT to write for me. I argue so much. I love to write. And so
I hate it. How did I end up on the researching side? Anyway.
Because she's a smarty pants. That's why. She's just exceptionally good at
You want a fun fact?
What's that?
I enrolled in English 101 5 times in college, and I dropped the class every time. 5 times. That is 2.5 years. I hate writing. So here you are, kids.
But you know what? She does great. But what I'll say is, even though it's not like a natural skill for Dani, I just gotta tell y'all, Dani's that bitch in anything. She just fucking makes it work. And this is why it wouldn't work otherwise. So
I do love the research. Putting it into words, blah. Anyway.
And that's why I'm here to add some. Because if there's one thing Dani and I can do is yap. We can yap. The first time we ever hung out, Dani, and it was just like a casual thing. We were like, you were like, oh, come over for just to do this for an hour or whatever. What was it, like 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah.
I know you guys.
Know when you have that
when you have
person.
that friend.
Yeah.
We are that bestie. So if you haven't today, tell your bestie that you love her or him. Most likely her. But
during the sentencing proceedings, the court addressed the circumstances surrounding Doug's death and the actions taken by those involved after the assault.
It's important.
Prosecutors stated that Doug had been left bound and injured inside the home and that no effort had been made to obtain medical assistance. Evidence presented indicated that after the assault, the men just left, which we know, and LaFollette delayed in reporting.
Well, and also, I understand heat of the moment, but they've had time to think about this. And I know that the meth is obviously preventing that, but this is something that a jury could have held on to if one of them would have been like, I went back. Because I realized I was like, what have I done?
That's not what I wanted to happen.
That would have played out beautifully for a jury of, yeah, I was inebriated. Yeah, I was in the heat of the moment. And then I went on my own and I was like, I can't have this happen.
Right. No.
But that didn't happen. And that again goes right against anything. It doesn't look good for a judge.
Defense arguments presented on behalf of LaFollette included statements that she had intended only to have Doug removed from the home and had not directed Hahn and Green to kill him. I don't think she did, but
where's the evidence?
Her attorney stated that she believed the situation would not result in serious harm and argued that her actions were influenced by fear and her mental condition at the time. He said she had been without prescribed medication and had substituted the marijuana, and that she had been...
Marijuana doesn't make anyone want to kill anyone 99% of the time. No. Like, I know that there's instances where if people have, like, bipolar and stuff, it can make them, like, woo! Scientific term, that is what that was. No, there are studies that there are some people that it makes them fucking spiral off the charts or whatever. But I'm like,
look, you cannot go commit a crime and then it result in the death of, I don't care, just like
and you're blaming it on weed? Like, I was exceptionally hungry for Cheetos and a nap, and so I fucking killed someone. Nobody does that.
She said that she'd only been attempting to remove Doug from the home because she was afraid of him. Look, and that might be the case because there was some domestic stuff, but you can't go sending in the cavalry.
You know your shooters. Listen, I think we all have people that would ride or die for us, and
She doesn't even hardly know these guys. They're her brother's friends.
which
They
is
live
wild
fucking
to me.
multiple states away.
With no payment, like,
And yeah, and that's how you know drugs are involved because they're not even getting paid.
it's just
That's
so,
how they
it's
ended up
so
with his
wild.
fucking truck because they're like,
Well, I gotta take something.
yeah. And then they fucking anyway. Ugh. Statements made in court also addressed the relationship between Doug and LaFollette. It was asserted that the two had experienced ongoing conflict and that LaFollette had moved to a motel prior to the incident. Testimony indicated that she wanted Doug to leave the home and that she had taken steps to arrange his removal. So this is all court stuff. Like this X, Y, Z. This is why we ended here. Members of Doug's family were present during the proceedings. The court acknowledged the impact of the crime, noting that Doug left behind children. The circumstances of the killing were described as occurring during a planned removal that escalated into a fatal assault, which again, if you're going to go in and rob a bank and you bring a gun and you shoot the security guy, guess what? It doesn't matter if you didn't intend.
You did it.
It doesn't. Your buddy shot the security guy.
And if they would
Did you know your buddy had a loaded fucking gun? Oh, yeah. Okay. Guess
well,
what?
now we're all in on it.
Yeah. All in.
Yeah.
All in.
Everyone's implicated.
This is why you got a forward thing, ladies and gentlemen. Just
Let's.
because
I implore you criminals, and I'm not even rooting for you. I'm just, it could have maybe even avoided this death. Like,
and you see this.
where's your action plan? I know I'm going to be really corporate with this. Where's your action plan? What stakeholders are involved? Whose opinion do we need? Of like,
Did you circle back?
did you circle back? Did you cross all your T's and dot all your I's? Did you put a pin in it? And did you go back to those pins before murdering someone? Like, hey, what happens if we like hurt him real bad?
What could go wrong? This is what could go wrong.
I know everyone makes fun of it, but it's like project management 101. And I'm not even an expert on this.
What a fucking, you know what? Fuck that bitch. I'm so mad.
No,
Instead of legally getting him, look, if she was scared, didn't want him there, whatever the reason was.
Even if he was wrong and had done those things, having some muscle around to physically get him out of the house, I think he would have left.
You don't give the guys keys until there's
been effective to just do a little mild roughing up, get your shit, bro.
Yeah.
We're escorting you out.
We all go.
Men listen to other men.
We all go.
Men listen to other men.
And then they say, bro, you got to leave. And then there's two guys. And then she's there. He's like, yeah, I probably should leave.
Yeah. I think that although it's not necessarily legal, it would have worked.
But no, she said, hey, oh, you're going to feed him dog food all the way to Mexico? Cool that.
Sure.
I have some tape.
I would have been like, that wasn't exactly what I was ordering off of Amazon for the, like, ordering up your own fucking, like, not quite. Just get him out.
If you could just
scare him a bit.
Come stay at the house for 2 or 3 days until he leaves.
And I know that it's not perfectly legal, but I'm down. I could get down at that.
But you know what I bet is that if she just said, you can come stay at my house with me for a week, Doug would have left with 2 other
Make it
dudes.
uncomfortable enough. He would have been.
This is the thought process is.
And this is how men work. Like,
All right. Let me give you where they're at today. Stanley Hahn is 62.
62.
He was released on parole May 20th, 2021.
Oh.
John Green is 46, and he is in the Ada County Jail. Apparently, he was released on parole because he has had his parole violation on his murder one charge and has convictions from 2025 that includes unlawful possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, evidence destruction, and drug trafficking, meth.
And again,
how did you not learn that?
After getting off on parole, that is extremely hard to do.
So I'm not sure the date that he was released on parole, but I do know that he has a parole violation on that charge. And then he has some other things going on. So
and I understand the environmental impacts of if you've never been trained outside of like the criminal industry, how it's really hard to see a life elsewhere. But use the time in jail. There are programs to learn trades or things like...
Or just fucking keep your nose clean.
Yes.
And get out of jail and try to do what you can with the rest of your life to be a productive member of society.
And even this, even if you don't want to keep your nose clean, you are in the college, the university, the Stanford, Harvard of criminal minds. So if you want to keep criminaling, you're in the place to learn how to do it right. But you didn't, because guess who got a violation? You absolute dipshit. And again, I'm not trying to like root for, but I'm like, use that time. Like, you could have learned how to be a drug lord. Instead, you get out and immediately get a violation. You absolute fucking dipshit.
Karen LaFollette died from cancer on April 3rd, 2012, while incarcerated.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she was in jail for like 4 years. That's it.
And she lost her life there. Yeah. This was a life sentence for her.
Yeah.
Because they do an extreme cautionary tale. Because even if you only get 3 years, what if...
And you do get medical care, but not this. You don't get to make decisions like you get to make if you have a fucking insurance plan.
It's like, what's the bare basics to keep this person alive, even if they're suffering or whatever, or...
and you know, maybe... You know, she probably has
chemo and all that. Another thing to think about.
But there's also other things that you can do to reduce, anyway,
the risk. Yeah. So just, I think.
And it was shitty. Poor Doug.
Absolutely.
Listen, even if he was a D-bag, nobody deserves to be fucking murdered in their kitchen.
Nobody deserves that. And if you want to try to create a plot like this, my pet peeve is you didn't even think this through. You were like, I'll call up my boys that will like,
hey bro, you got anybody?
Have a crush on me or something, and they'll come and whoop his ass and be clear in your, like, I would be clear in if I just want you to remove him and not kill him, I'm going to be very clear, because we all know how people can get caught up in the moment.
You know what? You go down.
We have to align expectations. I know it's more corporate speak, but it's effective.
Just get him evicted.
Align expectations. Anyway.
It's been a minute since I felt like we've done
we were both very spicy on this one, so. But I think it was, you know, the ones with the drugs. It's, again, another PSA against drugs. And I'm not judging at all, because, listen, I was a dipshit and did some drugs a time or two in my life. But this is another reason. Who wants to be caught up in this bullshit?
Exactly. Fucking chaos.
Like, this is life-changing shit. This isn't forgetting to feed your dog. This isn't forgetting to...
pay your rent and you have to pay a late fee.
This is life-changing bullshit. Don't do it. Maybe they should have us speak at schools. Not really. Could you imagine? Listen up, you little bitches.
Don't do drugs. Let me tell you what.
Don't do drugs or murders, you absolute dipshits. Yeah, so maybe we can refine our message one day, but
Right now, it's just don't do fucking meth, kids. It's fucking stupid.
absolutely don't.
And poor Doug. And look, if somebody mentions tape and rope,
you're in a danger zone.
Back out.
Danger zone.
Like, oh, wait. No. You might even back out and call somebody like,
hey,
the authorities and be like, just so you know, I heard that
someone might have got the wrong impression, or be to them, it feels like you guys are on like a murdering vibe.
Are you going to the Maverick to pick up your kidnapping?
I was more just on the removing vibe.
Yeah.
So let's make sure our expectations are aligned. I know the corporate speak is so weird, but it's effective. It's effective. I'm sorry. I cringe as much as anyone else. Circle back, put a pin in it. Mm-hmm. But the project management was the failure here all around. So anyways, stay safe, kids. Thank you guys all for listening to us rant and rave about everything. We love your comments. You guys are so fucking funny. Keep doing that. I literally laugh out loud at some of the comments on our TikToks and social media. And you can reach out to us if you have questions, comments, concerns. The Lethal Library at gmail.com. Anything else, Dani? Good to go? All right. Well, 10-4 rubber ducky.
Fuck yeah.